beef? Why do you have such a problem with me?
Can we get the real Andy? I would prefer the real Andy.
Oh, let's get the real Max. I'll take off my mask when you take off your mask, brother.
Because who's your new favorite YouTuber, Ian, that wanted to be on the show with us?
The Madman. The Madman.
Mad Movie Man.
Let's bring on Max Movies because he scares the living shit out of me. Hold on.
Oh, wow.
Mad Max says, I think you should apologize. Right? I'm sitting here in a goddamn torn down pool house.
I don't even know who you
pool house
are.
is torn apart. Okay, it's torn apart because I'm remodeling on my $70 webcam. Okay, I'm no better than you.
I'm sorry, but don't you guys find it kind of creepy that a 40-year-old man
To me, it's funny. He's a YouTuber. He wears a Dr. Doom mask to interview Tommy.
in all of their videos because they're afraid to show their pale white face? I don't know. That seems a little suspicious to me.
Yeah. Let me get Max in here. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. Oh, no. I should never have allowed it to happen. I'm already regretting it. No,
especially some dude just wearing a mask all the time screaming at the camera.
Mad Max is here. Never thought I'd see you in my chat. Great costume drawing. Thanks.
Rich, long time. Please take off your shirt and show us some saggy melon.
Yeah!
And please, with some Finnegan Fox enthusiasm,
Yes!
show us on the floor. Oh, God, I see what you did there. You son. I like saggy melons.
Oh, there you go.
But, like, it just...
Hard at work.
This
is hard at work.
You messed up
Where's
now.
your boss?
Saggy, hold on.
Go get your boss. Go get your boss.
At work.
I need your clout.
Chase it off of me, bro.
I need your clout. Oh, wow.
I'm at work. You see, I'm working. I'm trying to
get
end
ready.
the night.
Get ready for the
live now while I'm trying to get my job.
There's a reason for that. Get ready for the cancellation live in person.
Get ready for the cancellation. Yeah, you are about to get canceled. You already know.
Mom!
Yes, honey?
You happened again!
Did you have your mask on?
I always have my mask on.
Oh, I'm not the one.
I already told you. I was watching your other stream. You're like, I hope someone shows up. Listen, I'm backing down. I don't have. I can't take the melons.
You don't want this. You don't want
this.
You don't want
I don't know.
Max. You don't.
I know you're stocking shelves. Oh wow, you're
smoke. You do not want to mess with.
See, the accusations were false. Someone said you're doing a lot of texting at work, and she's stalking.
Do I text you at work? Damn right, because this is my job.
No,
I'm doing my job while we're talking. So
you know what
multitasking.
You know what the reality is. She was texting watching YouTube, and then she's like, "I'm going live. I better stock shelves."
Guess Tommy Telleriso.
Telleriso. Oh my God!
All right. Restart the stream. Restart.
Nice chatting with you. I'll see you guys later.
Jeremy, I just reached 5K.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
It really doesn't matter.
While you're here, if you'd like to consider memberships, it's only 99 cents.
Rip away, my friend. Rip away.
Because, man.
Movie Madness Entertainment. Welcome.
Well, we still have you. You survived the intro,
Tyler.
Yeah,
made it through the intro. There you go.
I make him do it. Like sometimes when I'm hosting, he's always like,
"Oh,
no, I don't want to play it." I'm like, "You gotta play it because it gets me. It's like sets the madness vibe."
I love it.
I'll be real, Tyler. When we lost you for a second, I was like, "Uh-oh," he was scared by the intro. "Uh-oh." I was sweating. I was like, "Oh no, oh no."
No, you can't do me that easy, man.
No, those are most of those people in the intro are the people I criticize heavily on the internet.
Nice.
So if you see some of the, I don't know if you know some of those people.
Geeks and gamers.
No, don't be alarmed. I totally disagree with their opinions. The opinion game.
Right. No, I hear it.
But go ahead, Ashley. We have Tyler Martin of Godhood Comics.
Martin of Godhood Comics. Also on Twitter at TY, the animator. So you all check him out. Follow him on Twitter. We'll get some of those links popping here in the chat. But welcome to the stream. Tony is here. Welcome. Geek Studios is here. Everybody is so glad, to be back hosting again over here with Max. I'm the widow. So if you don't know who I am, check me out on YouTube. Subscribe, right? Because we're trying to get to 1,000. I really would appreciate it.
Oh,
yeah. So we're here. I am a lover of comic books, and I'm gonna ask the most important question of the night, because this is gonna let me know. Growing up, were you the Marvel guy or were you the DC guy?
Ooh, that's the question.
So I love this question, and it comes into two parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was immature, this is my opinion. When I was a kid, I was a Marvel guy.
Oh,
no! I knew my heart was going to break. I knew it was going to break.
Oh, you're breaking her heart.
Then when I grew up and I became a man, it was DC, right?
Now I knew I liked you, Tyler, because I'm a DC. Listen, I love both.
Did you just break my heart?
Oh my God! The audience knows.
You know what we find, and I was teaching high school for 8 years before I started the company, and what we find is Marvel is an amazing segue to get people into comic books. I mean, most adolescents start with Marvel comics, right? And so I was teaching kids how to read, and we had a whole selection in the classroom, and they would just kind of, Marvel has Spider-Man, you know what I mean? So it's just like, they kind of love Marvel comics, but as you get older, man, you got to grow up. You got to.
I never escaped it. Like I got into I started when I was 6 years old. I read that Spider-Man comic book, and then I just started. And then from there, I went to Iron Man, and then I went to the Avengers, and then I went to Cap, and then I went to the Eternals, and all these obscure characters that a lot of people don't know.
You're clearly winning. You won.
Yes, I won. But now. It breaks my heart. I like my characters grounded in reality, I'll say.
Yes. But you know what? What I find as a comic book creator is, and just growing up, my thing was I wanted to escape reality, which was kind of the Green Lantern really set it off for me, just kind of getting outside of what is reality, right? So that's what I think. DC is more of those powerhouse characters.
Yeah,
I fall in love with those characters. But yeah, I completely understand. I agree with you.
Oh, sorry. I was going to highlight the chat.
We're both do. Yeah. Okay. You go. You do that. Yes. So now now that my heart has been broken, right, guys? Broken.
Nonsense.
I don't know how I'm going to recover. So kind of talk about. So we know that you grew up reading comics. At what moment did you really decide, that you wanted to do this and create your own thing? And do you write and create the art, or is it a collaborative project with someone that pens or illustrates for you?
So I learned very early on, and my mom even said that a lot of people don't get this, they don't figure this out their entire lives. They go without figuring this. I learned very early on that comic books made me happy, right? So that's a big thing, right? People spend their entire lives trying to find true happiness. And for me, that was comic books. And so, went to school, did the whole high school thing, and went to college, did all that, became a teacher, just got really depressed, but it would fix when I was reading the comic books or going to a Marvel movie or Star Wars, all the stuff that we love, that kind of stuff. And I always created. I think all of us have always I think every comic book lover ever is also a comic creator in the sense that we've all had something up here. And so after years and years of drawing and sketching things out, I was like, you know what? I discovered this online independent community about 2014 when I was a young teacher, and just kind of networking, collaborating, and learning that industry. And it just took off from there. And I created Godhood Comics, and I just started writing. And so I create and write all the comic books, and then we have an amazing group of artists that draw and things of that nature.
And kind of talk about where did the name Godhood Comics, where did you pull that name from, and kind of the meaning behind that, and your connection with it, and what does that mean to you as well?
Absolutely. So I'm a huge Greek mythology nerd. I think that's the original storytelling, it became, but that's what got me into storytelling originally from Disney's Hercules. And in the definition, godhood is the state of being defined, the state of being a deity, divine. And for me, godhood is when you are your best self, the best version of yourself, when you're closest to your God or your higher power. And so that's when Godhood Comics was born. It just means, high quality when you're at your best. And I think that our comics are of high quality and they're at their best. So.
And we do have a few questions. Do you want to pull those up, Max?
Oh yeah.
From our community, we have a few people that had left a few questions for us. So Madeline says, before you created your own, I don't know if we went over, before you created your own characters, did you also have a chance to work at any major comic book companies, or did you kind of hone that, while you were teaching? Did you ever work for DC, Marvel, or any of the bigger comic book companies?
No, so I've always been the type of individual that I like to do things myself. A lot of the times in this industry, you have people who are waiting. They wait. They're waiting on to hear back from a publisher. They're waiting on to hear back from an editor. They're waiting on someone to give them a chance, right? And I never. I owe that to my mom. I was raised by a single mom, and I owe that. People spend their whole lives waiting for other people to give them the green light, and I was never that type of person. So I knew, and it's funny because after we established ourselves, and I did start getting emails and interest, from other independent publishers. I won't say anything, but so I knew straight off the bat if I was going to do this, I was going to do it my way, and I was going to, learn it, and I was going to master it. So yeah, never worked for DC and Marvel. I don't think I ever will. There's a lot going on right now, and we have some opportunity with my literary agents, but I don't think it's for me. And I think that those are slots for other people, but I don't like answering to an editor. I call the shots where we're at. So it's pretty fun.
So the next question is, what is the hardest part when it comes to creating stories and characters?
I'd say the waiting, right? So comic creating is about 75% of waiting, right? Once you create that character and that story and you got that script and you send it off to someone else, from then it's completely out of your hands physically, right? You can micromanage and manage and kind of get things along, but you're waiting for that artist, you're waiting for that inker, you're waiting for that colorist, you're waiting for your editor, you're waiting for publishing, you're waiting for print. So that's the hardest part. I've become better at it. I've been doing this for 6 years now. We've been a company for 2 years. So I've managed it a lot, but for me, that's the hardest part is the waiting and then the patience that comes with it. So it's taught me a lot of patience.
And we kind of touched on the third question here already. And he said, did you always dream about being involved in comics since you were a kid? And he said that you want to, like, in case there's new people that have come into the chat, you can answer that again for them.
Yeah. Always. Comics were my happy place. That's when I'm talking about true happiness, guys. If you ever think about something that makes you incredibly happy, that was comics for me. And I just remember at my weakest, I was getting ready to walk off my balcony. And this was about 4 or 5 years ago. It's about 7 years ago. And just comics saved my life, quite literally, especially Godhood. So that's the passion that I bring to that.
Wow.
Okay, but kind of before I do what I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, because this next question kind of goes into from Geek Getaway, our good friend Tony. He wants to know the inspiration actually for the Antagonist. And so I want to pull up that right now, the website. So here is, now you can still get the issue 1 variant 2 cover. Can you still get that right now? Because I know the limited edition.
Yeah, so since the Antagonist came out, guys, we have not been able to keep them in stock. It always gets sold out. But luckily I had these on stock. You can tell it's an amazing cover featuring the Americans, and it's still available right now. Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and pull that down.
Okay.
We'll pull it back.
There was something that you mentioned that really touched me, Tyler, is you were talking about the depression, and it's even more so an inspiration that entertainment could save your life, escapism could save your life. It's something that really I've been there too, man, and I appreciate you sharing that. I'm not as much I'm not a creator, but I love it getting. It is escape for me, and that also it means a lot to people, especially the way you're presenting it to the public in your community, the community you represent. That can mean a lot for people. So thanks for sharing that.
I completely understand that. For me, it was always like escapism, like, you know, going into this other world and like, you know, kind of, you know, dealing with, you know, split parents and kind of like escaping into this world. And it always made me feel happy, you know, and secure. So I completely understand that. But here is the website. Like, this is the Antagonist. This is the image also behind Max here. So the Geek Getaway had a question. What inspired these characters and for you to create this world and this story here?
Yeah, so and to speak on what both guys just said, I think having an outlet is extremely important to combat depression and sadness and things of that nature. We live in a world, guys, where everybody, everything, every day is trying to defeat us and trying to beat our asses. So we need something to kind of take the load off, and you know, we all have that. So yeah, and the Antagonist, guys, I'm a huge fan of Invincible. I'm a huge fan of The Boys. I'm a huge fan of like Kick-Ass, like real gritty. I love superpowers like manifested in reality. As far as like you know, often when we see Superman punch somebody, you know, they don't explode. You know what I mean? So I love the relativity of superpowers, and so it's huge, inspiring by The Boys and the Invincible. We don't have a lot of mainstream comic books that's not like quota driven, where they're like, oh, we got to do something with Lex Luthor. I love the villain story. I think good and evil are super subjective. I love the villain story. I love it. More importantly, Black supervillains and how, you know, Black people have been villainized or always villainized. And then we just kind of throw that family dynamic. Huge. I love the Incredibles for the family dynamic, and so I just like, you know, supervillains and a family and Black. It would just be amazing. Did long extensive research when we were outlining this, and it just wasn't something. That's one of the things that is praised for. Is just like there was nothing out there like this, and so we were pretty excited when we were getting it together. So,
and kind of so. I did see the article in Deadline about it being adapted. Now, is this going to be an animated adaptation, or are they looking to do a live action adaptation?
Oh no, it's live action. Deadline, PBR, Looper, all the articles they talk about, it's all live action. It's all live action.
Can we get any exclusive or updates since the article dropped of how the progress is going?
Yeah, so it's been. I'll say what I can. It's been a year since that article dropped. We were well into pre-production. Well into writing and been in the room. I've been back and forth from LA to Atlanta all year. Actually, hate LA, by the way. But anyways, it's been an amazing experience, and hopefully soon, we'll give some time, but hopefully soon we'll be announcing some huge casting details and things.
Wow!
Yeah.
Any well-knowns that we know of, or
well, you'd have to wait and see, Max, but absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Can
you come back when we get an sorry, Ashley, my YouTube.
No.
Can we get an exclusive for Ashley when you have a detail? Can we get a Tyler Martin exclusive when you have some details to drop?
Yeah, just for Ashley, not for you, just for Ashley.
Just for me.
Yeah, just for Ashley, because she's the best. Yeah. No, for me too.
No, I will come back for both of you guys. And yeah, it's all about energy and vibes, guys, and I'm having a good time. So that means a lot.
Yeah.
All right. And then Anthony wants to know, we don't know if you can answer the question, since which streaming service is it going to be on?
I cannot answer that, guys, but I will tell you I do know, but I can't talk about that. But I think it's the best. We chose something that was it's going to be great, guys.
Awesome.
I love to talk about comics. So
you don't think we're going to have to search for the stream service? You think we're going to know about it already, right? You think?
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is even like he's already like doing great with the Antagonist, guys, right? And this is going to drop in 2023, correct? Fight Island
Yeah, that's
in
our
the
first
same
class.
world of the Antagonist. You want to give us a little bit of information about this here?
Yeah, so if you read The Antagonist or seen the pictures, the character on the right there, that's Traylon Evil. And he is the eldest son in the family. And this is his spinoff series called Fight Island. If you've read the book, Traylon is unbeknownst to his parents, he's an MMA fighter. And so he fights in an underground crime ring, underground fight ring in Detroit, featuring superpower beings. And because he has a healing factor likened to Wolverine or Deadpool, we'll discover soon, they forbid him to fight just to kind of keep their identities hidden, and so he does it anyway, and this kind of puts him on the radar to some really bad people. And Fight Island is this gigantic corporated artificial island that just kind of kidnaps these fighters, and you either fight or you die.
So we're gonna have to make sure we get caught up on the Antagonist. So when this hits, we'll be ready to go, guys. Right?
I have a question about this project. I'm a gamer, bro.
Go for it, Max.
I'm a gamer.
Max.
Are you considering contact the indie developer, a fighting game or some type of game? I want this as a game too now that I'm looking at this.
Absolutely, bro. So everything I try to do is very strategic, right?
Oh, okay.
So I am a huge Injustice, Mortal Kombat fighting.
Oh,
game.
yeah.
So it's going to, when you open this book, and I love how the pages we've got back forward and some of the concept art. It reads like a comic book, man, but it feels like you're in a game. It feels like you're watching a game trailer, or that you go on YouTube and you're watching gameplay, and that's what it feels like when you're reading it. So yeah, definitely.
All right.
So, and that's a great thing, because I don't want to get into it too much, but that was always the question: is like, are you planning something that's going to be accessible across multiple different mediums outside of just the physical form and the reading? If you're like trying to incorporate this into gaming, into television and that type of thing, and it seems like you are really mapping this out. And do you have any thoughts of like toy development? Is that also something that you're looking at and in the future as well?
Yeah, we're actually in talks right now, and that will come with the announcement of the live action, and we'll have those figurines, which will depict those actors as well. So it was always, guys, the amazing part about this is it came naturally. I always thought, I'm never I don't like to talk about numbers, or just even if you go to our Godhood Comics page, you don't see my face, you don't really see, because it's a brand, it has to be bigger than me, right?
Yeah.
And it all has happened so naturally. And I feel like that for any passion project, the business or whatever you're doing, it'll tell you what it needs and when it needs to happen. And so all this stuff kind of just came naturally, and and that's been the most exciting part about it.
Awesome. I do have a question. Recently, not to get into that other part yet, but recently there's been a lot of comments on or popularity of trending of creating your own universe of comics. That's being promoted a lot in the indie comic scene. Do you feel you have that? I mean, what can you go through each? You have the Antagonist, Sharpshooter, Mega Woman. Is this its own universe? Do you consider it its own universe? And do you think you've accomplished that so far? Is that where you're going as well? A universe?
So just per I'm sure we'll get into this later, and then per my last comment, I think it has to happen naturally.
Okay.
I think the MCU has kind of messed up in recent, pictures, and just when you focused on everything, it has to be balanced, right? I think DC did too little of it, and I think Marvel has done too much of it, right? And so the stories have to tell themselves, and they have to develop in a way where there is room to connect those dots. And so I would say, I would love that to happen, and we're kind of working on a few things, but I'm not forcing that. We get DMs and emails all the time. Is Mega Woman going to fight the Antagonist and stuff like that?
Okay, yeah.
And as much as we would love to see that, I mean, that's just badass entertainment. It just has to allow it. It has to happen. And so we do have a universe. It is a shared universe. This is all happening in one universe. But when these guys, Mega Woman and Sharpshooter, have already, we've established that connection. If you read Sharpshooter #1, his villains have mention of Mega Woman and how he's not a threat. And they say he's no Mega Woman. So
okay.
So we'll see. We'll see. Good question, man.
Well, you go ahead, Ashley. But I do have another follow up.
Go ahead, Max. Go ahead.
Because if people missed out on your original campaigns that were successful, they're sold out. What's the best way to start in your, you know, you have the digital, or you said you have, I don't know if we could say this, you said something about September. There might be something where they're combined, or what would you say to do for a consumer that's interested in starting checking out your stuff?
So we always say everybody wants the physical copy.
Yes,
Right under our physical copies, not even maybe 5% less is our digital. Like our sales are physical, and then digital is right under that. So we always say, to get started and to know if you want to be interested or not, download the digital files, right? Go get Mega Woman digitally. Go get Mega Woman 2 digitally, Sharpshooter, all the antagonists. We got Galactic Patrol Delta getting ready to drop. Go get those digitals. And I always say, if you like what you see, then go and see if we have the physical copies and get those, and we'll sign them and we'll get those to you. But I always say, go and get the digital so you'll know if you like it or not.
Okay. And I kind of have a follow-up question on that, on availability, because you've been doing good with the physicals. What if someone really just wants the first one physical? Would you say, you know what, it may be a while because you're currently working on other things too, get the digital maybe now, or wait for this combined thing in September potentially? You're gonna have you said, am I accurate on that? You might combine them in a novel, and
it'll be all the antagonists, right? So right now, what's available is the Antagonists 1, 2, and 3, and we had that Kickstarter a year ago. Then we had another Kickstarter in December for Antagonists 4, 5, and 6. So that first trade paperback is just the Antagonists 1 through 6.
Yeah. Would you tell people maybe look for that if you're looking for physical, or do you think you may be able to fit another run of just individual comics in there?
We always have. Listen, I tell people to buy now and buy when you can, right?
Okay.
I say you need to get them in digital, you get them physical, and you need to get the trade paperback. Right?
Yeah.
All an experience. They're all different experience. And how much work we put in the trade paperback. We've got guys that are ready for that, and they've already read the physical prints. But you got the art, you've got some art, character concepts, and things of that nature. So trade paperback is a whole nother experience.
And sorry, I have a lot of questions because I am going to be a consumer. What's the best way to find out about new stock? Instagram, Twitter, emailing your company? What's the best way to?
So making sure you're following us on Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram.
And then also turn on post notifications, right? Because we know the algorithm on Twitter and Instagram, they're just all over the place right now because there's so much. So if you love something, you need to turn on those post notifications to make sure that you can see these things. And then obviously, as you check out in our cart, make sure you sign up for our mailing list, right? We're always
mailing
through our mailing list, and our supporters see more things that people on social media don't.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Thank you, because I'm asking questions for myself.
And me too, because I need to get as much information as I can.
The same question, so yeah, definitely.
And I really like this. This is an image that was released today, and this is going to be in the later issues in 4 through 6. Is this from? Can you give us a hint?
This is from issue 6.
From issue 6. This actual image is from issue 6. Is there any little information or details that you can give us just about who this character is without like spoiling any story plot?
Absolutely. So this is Podge Ebel. He's the youngest son in the Ebel family, and his powers are just super. He's a super genius, right? And he's kind of got his parents' traits where he's a little sadistic and just incredibly like he's just basically a 60-year-old in a 9-year-old's body. He's just highly intellectual, and we had some people that are coming, and we market him as his powers aren't physical. He tells people that all the time. His powers aren't physical, but we see in issue 6 that we need him more than any other physical powers, and he shows up and shows out.
I just really thought that this was a great image. I remember looking at this one today. I was like, oh, this one is a new picture from today when I was like going through everything, and I saw it on Twitter. I retweeted it and then checked it out on Instagram. After I went to the website. So this is, I just think it was such a great shot. And I feel like I got that vibe that here's this young child who's, uber intelligent. Just you feel that conveyed here in the art here. Like it's really great. So that's my question there. So I kind of want to ask you now, Max and I are, we're in this YouTube game, right, Max?
Yeah,
And,
I think yes.
Yeah, I think so. Max is a little bit, and this is what we do. And like Max and I, a lot of times we see things on this platform that we feel like is fueled by hate, and in a specific content creator that unlike you here, you've actually told me what your work is. You know what I'm saying? You're telling me this is what my story is. And then you have people like Young Ripa, right? And my criticism has always been, yes, I don't like the things that you are saying politically. I'm happy that you're gaining your success, but it always seems like it was fueled by hate because the marketing campaign was everything that it's not and nothing what it is, and it's like my comic book is not woke, but when we know what the word woke means, we know that it's steeped in Black consciousness. So by design, you are telling a story that is very woke in nature. Mm-hmm. What would you say to his pushback about saying that his stories aren't woke? They're not. But when we know that when we're telling authentic stories about Black people, what does that mean to you? And what does the word woke mean to you? Is that something that you embrace, or do you kind of use it in, kind of agree with Ripa there with that?
Well, I'll say Eric is smart in the fact that he knows what community he's in. He won't admit it, but he knows what community he's in. He knows who his supporters are. And I think in a sense, your supporters kind of define who you are, right? Because what's allowed is continued. And if you're not denouncing certain things and not stopping certain things, then that just goes to show who you are, what you represent, and the kind of platform you're trying to build. And as far as the non-woke and him saying that the books are non-woke and they're non-political, well, it's just the opposite, right? It's super hypocritical. The proof is in the pudding with Eric, right? And so all you have to do is and even before I had tweeted something to him, and I just immediately got a bunch of racist hate DMs, right? So I deleted that tweet, and then he had, somebody had screenshot, and so he had reposted that tweet. So all you have to do is go through his followers, who he's following, right? Check out some of his videos and his colleagues and things of that nature. This is someone who is he doesn't want to admit it, but this is someone who is Republican, and that's okay. My problem with Eric was never his political side. It was the audacity to think that we don't know, right? Or the audacity to think that you can get one over on us by not admitting this. And so I think a lot of people in my community, we just wanted him to be upfront and honest. If you're making comic books for these alt-right people, then that's fine. Now you're going to have some pushback. We all have pushback. We all need pushback. That pushback makes us better. So if you're going to make these things, that's fine. Listen, I love comic books. We want to make comic books. As long as they're not spreading hate, we want to make comic books, right? The problem with Eric, I think he refuses to see, or he doesn't see, and both are equally dangerous, the impact he has on a certain group of people. And not even the impact, but I'll say Eric's fan base come from people who want to be able to say what he says, but they can't, right? And so it's like me and you using the N-word, Ashley, and someone, we can use it negatively or positively, but white people or another group necessarily can't use it. And so the fact that he can say certain things that they can't, I think they love that. I think he needs to own up to who his supporters are.
And then kind of my next question, because I brought that up specifically because I know that you had that discourse, and that's how we both were introduced to you. And then I remember looking at this art, and I was like, wow, this is great. And then Max, he reacted to it later on that evening, and then we were like, we really need to try to come together because we are about like positive, uplifting positive content. And so it was very important for me to look at it, and I got what your message was. But my next question would be, because on this one issue, I do agree with Young Rippa. When we think about, when we look at in film, when characters are race bent, how do you feel about that? Are you for it, or do you prefer elevating Black characters that we already had, or creating new characters? How does that make you feel as a content creator, in general?
So absolutely, and I agree as well. And one of the things the Antagonist is about is subjectiveness, right? Who's right, who's wrong, and who gets to draw that line in the sand, right? I think no actual sane comic book lover will disagree that Marvel and DC have just gone off the deep end on certain things, right? There's a lot of pandering. Absolutely, there is. We have Marvel and DC have a bunch of Black characters that they do not shed light on. I am not a fan of legacy characters. I'm a huge fan of Miles Morales, a huge fan of Captain America. I think there are incidences where that is necessary, right? You have to have a Black Captain America. You have to, right? Black people are have been the most oppressed people in the history of not only this country, but the entire world. That is a fact, right? And so for people to see that is an impactful moment. That is impactful to see Sam Wilson as Captain America. It's impactful, right? And it is nice to see Miles Morales in the most iconic suit, as one of the most iconic characters in pop culture, right? With those, but I don't agree with the disrespect to those characters, right? I think we can criticize Black legacy characters. But what we saw and what I got a lot in my inbox were white males DMing me no more Peter Darker, right? And so this is something that he has said, right? And so it's likened to him saying the N-word, and then his followers saying it.
He's let's be real. Young Rippa, congrats on making your money, but let's be real. Yeah. What is it really? And maybe you could say what your opinion is. It become popular because of the content, or because one of the things I personally subjectively feel he's so popular for is the overuse of tokenization and saying everything's token. It's just like everything on the internet right now. And when you think token, that's hollow, perfunctory. It doesn't have any substance. So he says that about everything. That's a lie. And that's why he's popular. He's based on a lie. Because you're saying that just like you wouldn't say someone to get hired in a job, that's a token hire. That is so prejudiced.
That is so prejudiced. But you know what? I'll even one up Max, and I'll say, and I think Ashley would agree with this, is as a Black man, he does have the right to criticize those characters in that way, right? It's kind of like it's kind of like in what DC and Marvel do with their LGBTQ characters, and you have that community that they criticize those. They have the right to criticize those characters because we all experience pandering, and we all can call pandering out, right? One of the things I said about Godhood Comics is I didn't want any quota checked type of things, right? I just wanted it to kind of feel naturally. One of the characters in the Antagonist, one of our main characters, is lesbian. Sheila English. She's the detective that has been after the family for 20 years. And for her character and what she's been through, it just felt right to be a kind of disproportionate minority in that way. He can definitely have those opinions. The problem is when you're allowing people who are have racist ideologies or prejudice towards other communities, they're saying these things, right? And do I think he condones that behavior? No, but he hasn't denounced it, and that's just as worse.
Something that really, I loved what you said. It just, if there's one thing besides, honestly, I'm just going to throw it out there. Well, first of all, I found you out because my friend was criticizing you, and she was saying that you might just be salty because of someone else's success that's doing it better. And that, I was like, well, let me see if this dude is doing it better. Honestly, in my opinion, so far, I think you have the website, you have multiple comics in, frequently releasing content. Like you said, you're going to be on you're up to your 6th volume. Darn it, I lost my thought. I'm sorry.
We know where you're going, Max.
Yeah. It'll come back to me. I have memory issues, so
Yeah, man. I'll just say, hopefully, if I say this, it'll come back to you. Eric has had a major following for years now, right? And so he could have opened up a McDonald's and it would have done $1 million in sales.
It finally popped in my head. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so he is more focused on the image and personality to sell his comic, whereas you said, I don't even try to put my face out there that much. It's more about the content. You're busy, and it's more about other things. I don't even try to put. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Like you're not, you're just focused on the work. The rest will come later. Where, in my opinion, his is more glossy, superficial. I'm going to create a universe before you even have the universe. You have one comic that's not a universe yet. I think I'm not saying he's not going to accomplish it. I'm not going to put him down like that. But you have one comic and you're already calling it a verse, whereas you are. This is the difference that you see just from interviewing this man. He's like, if it comes naturally, organically, the story makes it. There's great, and you said there's financially reasons that you want to create a verse and have characters interact. But you said the story warrants it. So that ultimately puts your response at a higher level than all this superficialness, which is the internet. You could succeed doing that. Could make a lot of money doing that. But he says, I'm going to do all these things without actually getting there yet. I loved your response there where you said, I don't even need to be image. I'm working, bros. I'm working consumers. I don't even need. Well, we do appreciate you making the time for an interview, but my image isn't important. The comics are. Where his basically, I'm going to say it, his is based on his personality and image and not necessarily on the content. Not that it's bad. I'm not going to say it's bad or anything, but he's marketing completely different than you are in the comic version.
Absolutely, Max. And I think quality, I always say this, and we market our comics as high quality comic books, right? You're getting a high quality art, high quality story. And when you go through our pages, we like to deliver an experience of the 5 senses, right? I want you to be able to taste, smell, hear, and touch, feel a scene. And so it just boils down to quality, right? And what we see in that community often, and certainly in the last few years, the far right comic book community it's less about the product for them and more about the message. Right? We've seen several of those campaigns not fulfilled, and they still, time after time, they're circulating millions of dollars towards each other without producing anything. So I hope that he is in a position where he's going to fulfill these supporters, and the worst part about it, even if he doesn't, they're going to come back, and that just speaks to the quality of the support and the overall product.
Yes, and then kind of going back a little bit here, because we wanted to give you a little bit of information again. It says, again, the Antagonist is out now, and it says married supervillains, Destructus and Ultima, struggle to protect their family and keep their past a secret decades after retirement. So this is about a family and their supervillains, which is a really cool, again, like as he talks about earlier, he was bringing up how he wanted to take this supervillain element and kind of like marry it with the Incredibles and make this family. And also when you think about like traditionally like comic books, and a lot of the times Black people were portrayed as this uber evil villains in these stories. So it's good to see like this fresh take and like what really is a villain, right? So and I just wanted to give you all a little bit more information about the synopsis of what this story really is, and to look at the cover of this. Because he even has like the blood. He kind of like, even though I don't think he's a zombie, he has like the blood here. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of a zombie look almost there.
Yeah, we wanted to give them that look that they had just been through the fucking ringer. That's one of my favorite images. And quick fun fact: that artist, that was the first comic book cover that he did. The first comic book anything that he did. His name is Ahmed Garzuli, and that was also the last. He died soon after.
Oh wow!
Oh no! Wow!
So that cover is very, very special.
Wow, That's one of my favorite images from your site.
I know, I love it. I
Yeah,
know
and-
that was the
no
first
one is-
one that grabbed me.
Yeah, and I just no one is going to have that would have that artist for their comic book. I haven't before, so I feel grateful, but it was a sad loss, man. We had so much, we were working towards so much.
Oh wow! All right. Yes, rest in peace.
Yes,
Definitely.
absolutely, Anthony. Well, that makes it. If you had that cover, even makes it like first cover. That it's beautiful. At least
I checked eBay. I couldn't find it. I was looking.
Will live, on, and that's the wonderful thing about art is that it stands the test of time.
Absolutely,
and it's absolutely beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
So Max, what's the next thing we want to talk about?
We do also want to talk about how the industry's doing. You were saying also about like race swaps that it can be frustrating that the industry doesn't really not every case, but might not put in the hard work to build a character that exists instead of just race swapping. But isn't there room for both too, though? We can't be prejudiced to the point where my thought is I when I first started YouTube, it annoyed me more. And then as I realize and reflect on history, I understand we should give more opportunities to more people, as long as it is the nationality or the gender isn't like ingrained in the origins of the character. I'm like, okay, well, show me what you got. There's some great talent out there. I'm okay with race swap or gender swaps, as long as the story and the acting ability is great. Do you think there's room for both?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I said it before. I'll say it again. Balance in all things. Balance in all things. You too much on one side is not good, and too much on the other is not good. I just said I love Miles Morales. I love Sam Wilson. Perfect example. Miles Morales' Thor. Right. That's just a perfect example of what you don't need. That is a European Norse culture. Right. That's a European culture. An amazing culture full of stories. No one bashing Norse mythology. We love Norse mythology. I freaking love Thor. There was no reason to have Miles Morales be Thor. And I get it's a what if thing, but we could have used that whole setting. And me as a comic book creator and writer, what I would have done with Miles What If is just have him partner up with other black superheroes in the world, right? Or even different versions of himself that are other legacy characters, right? So I would have loved seeing him like we could have did. It would have been amazing to see a Miles Morales What If he was Blade, right? If he was Blue Marvel, if he was Luke Cage, right? These characters that are already black and grounded in that reality. So yeah, it's not bad. It's a balance. It's a balance.
And I would ask, like, how do you feel about when it extends into film? Because my thing is, like, a lot of times they'll race swap a specific character in a film, but then it's not reflected across all media. So then it just gets like you are checking that box. To you, is that important that if you're going to race spin them on screen, do you feel that we need also that in an extended toy line and also in their own specific run, even though I know you're not big on the legacy characters, but how does that make you feel just when it's just in one specific genre that is race banned?
I think you've made the mistake. The moment you decide that you're going to do that for this particular reason, which is, and listen, guys, I created Godhood Comics for the fact that for 100 years, all entertainment, all across the board, 100 years of entertainment, it was all across the board dominated by white men, right? 100 years across the board. And so I created Godhood Comics to uplift black voices where we have, hey guys, we can be main characters, right? So every main character, we're taking on, our submissions are open, so we're taking on white creators and creators of all races, but every main character or lead in our series has to be a black or brown character, right? Just proving that we can be our own leads without race swapping, right? So I think the moment you have done that to either pander or get a type of reaction, I think you already messed up. And as far as the movie is concerned, I think it would take, number one, it would take less to create a character. It would take less time, less money, and less creativity to create an entire character. It's hard, you know, when you have legacy characters and you're trying to gender swap or race swap them. It's a very tough thing to do. And half the time, someone mentioned Icon. Yeah, half the time, that culture or that group don't want that, right? And so that's how I feel about it. It's has to be a perfect balance. It has to be done for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, then if you all have any questions in the chat, please make sure you put those in the chat for Tyler here. You know, because we would like to get you all engaged as much. So any questions you have, and then this is the next thing that we
this is a lot of people are talking in the fandom. And what do you say to the? Well, I didn't mean to speak ahead of Ashley, but what do you say to the people that feel really Black Panther was a moment for them? And what should we do with these characters? Because even though the industry has progressed, there is some representation, but some people feel the characters, you know, Chadwick, man, what a great person that lived on this earth, and we'll miss him. But a lot feel like the mantle is so important to move on and recast the child. What do you think of this movement, the impact of Black Panther, and what are your thoughts on the movie too? You know,
so I think, and a lot of Black creators will tell you this, what Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman did for our industry was absolutely incredible. It created this niche, this billion-dollar niche in our industry where people were like, there are Black people out here. They're creating comics. They can be main characters. And we can make money off of them, right? We can do this. There's a community there will go see these movies. As far as recasting T'Challa, we've recasted a lot other characters for far less, right? I mean, we see this in Iron Man and Don Cheadle, right? And those actors don't even look the same, right? You've got Terrence Howard, and in the next movie you've got Don Cheadle, right? And that's over a contract thing. Chadwick Boseman is an amazing actor, amazing activist. We all cherish and love him. But even he understood the importance of the Black Panther character, right? Even he did. And I think, again, this was a bad play on Marvel, and it was a panderish play, I think, because you're saying, so are you telling me that we're not going to have a T'Challa-based Black Panther movie for the rest of our lives? Or how are we doing that, right? And so I think, just like we see with Batman and Superman, all the amazing actors and portrayals, I think we have to give somebody else a chance to play this character and to give us this mythology. So I say recast him. I think it was a big mistake not to recast him, and I think Wakanda Forever is going to suffer for that decision.
Okay.
I'm excited to see it, but I think it'll suffer.
I'm actually, Tyler and Ashley, I'm actually shocked by this, because I'm an ally. I'm a white guy. I'm sorry. I mean, I do have a mask, but I am an ally. But I ultimately, at the beginning, on my mind was thinking that I love this character so much. I loved his performance so much, and we should respect him and not. But now you guys are opening my minds over the last few months. I've seen this groundswell. The petition's pretty high, and if you actually, that's where I think too is the difference. Instead of talking for Black people, talk to people it impacts. See what they want, and that's where you guys have opened my mind. I'm like, okay, you make a lot of sense that this is such an important character that it should move on. And even I think Chadwick Boseman's brother said it should as well. I believe, is that correct?
Yeah,
yeah.
But
I thought I was honoring the man by saying, respect Chadwick, don't touch it, work into the story. But a lot of the people that I've been hearing from actual fans and people that it represents in the community, a lot of it is quite the opposite.
I think, Ashley, I think you'll agree with this. I think the impact of that film was bigger than any one of us, including Chadwick.
Okay.
Chadwick Boseman. right? And we go back to the 70s where when we lost Christopher Reeves in that accident, right? And he was paralyzed and he couldn't no longer play Superman. There wasn't, as impactful as that role was, and to this day, people will argue that that's one of the best portrayals of Superman, right? And had we never recast Superman again, then we wouldn't have some of the great movies that we've had featuring that character, and we certainly wouldn't have had this recent performance of what's the guy's name? What's his name from Superman and Lois?
Tyler Hoechlin?
No,
Hoechlin.
Yes.
Yes, we wouldn't have these characters. I'm a fan of Henry Cavill's Man of Steel, so I think you have to. The character has to live on. Absolutely, Jade. She's 100% right. The character has to live on, guys, and it has to be developed, and then you have to give people chances to fill those shoes. So the next time, Max, whoever is recast, you may feel a better way about that actor, right? And so you just got to give people a chance.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to think about what does this mean, because even Chadwick Boseman had that conversation with his brother, and he said that this character is so important he needs to continue. His niece recently confirmed that, and then I even take it a step further that we know that mantles are passed along, and yeah, we don't know, but if they go in this other route where there might be a child in the story. To me, then that's also like playing into a stereotype of a child growing up without their father, without their Black father. And that's like doubling down on Black death. You're also pushing this stigma of like a young Black child who doesn't have a father. And I don't like that. Like, and I feel like that they're so in tune with trying to honor Chadwick that they aren't really paying attention to the stereotypes that they're kind of also playing into, if that is a plot line. You see where I'm going there with that?
I 100% agree, and I think you're dealing with a universe who just introduced multiple multiverses, multiple versions, right? Over 85 years of comics, there was ample opportunities for them to recast T'Challa, bring this Black Panther in Wakanda Forever, and one up the movie. And I think in part it was a mourning thing for Ryan Coogler and the team and the producers, and even Feige. I think they were mourning their friend. They were mourning their colleague, and I think they made a drastic decision there in the moment, which we all do.
You think that clouded their judgment, or do you think that? Do you think that was Do you think that was Ryan Coogler's creative, or maybe Marvel was Disney was afraid to upset fans?
I think Kevin Feige gave Ryan the chance to. It would be up to him. I think that Kevin kind of like that, especially with these kind of things. And I think Ryan, I think it was a collective thing as well. They were just mourning, and they made a drastic decision, which we all do in facing loss, right? But it just impacted. It just had a drastic impact on the community. So I think it was the absolutely wrong decision, and I agree. Actually, there's so much things they could have done creatively. We could have acted like there was nothing that happened. I mean, even if you were cast an actor, David Washington, different actors, he could have walked on, and we could have.
David Washington would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been great. We could have all acted like nothing happened, right? So I think it was a big mistake.
Okay.
And then I know I'm not taking this idea because I have a very good friend, Chillmonger. Everybody check out his channel if you're in the chat. And he kind of put this idea that, if they did this story of kind of like during the blip where he was already gone, if they wanted to take the time, in between to recast him and then honored him in that way. And then Wakanda's in this disarray. They don't have a king, the blip, half of the resources are gone. And that's when you had this, epic situation with Namor. And then by the time we get to the next story about T'Challa, we're kind of closer to the 5-6 year mark, just based on release schedules and things like that. So you've had that time to mourn, and you can also give him that space in film, because you could have that funeral for him. You could do all of these things, but still keep that door open. And maybe now it's just, a multiversal version that we'll get in the end. But I truly agree with Tyler here that not recasting T'Challa, especially when his story is only beginning, is a disservice to the character.
With that said, though, are you still looking forward to Black Panther 2, even with the decision? Are you still, and will you still support it? Are you still for both of you? Because
I'm gonna watch it. You know me, I'm like, Tyler doesn't know, but I'm like the biggest Marvel shill on the planet. I have a podcast called The Marvel Shill.
Nice.
I consume all MCU all the time.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm gonna watch it, and I hope it's great. But also, I don't, in the context of the last time that I seen Shuri, I don't see how you're gonna get her to this place, in a story that's going to make it make sense to me. But I'm going to go into it with an open mind and just, I just don't see how her growth, especially when she has now been, it's not like she's been existing for 5 years. We know that she was snapped away during that time. So her growth seems like it's going to be stunted. I guess after her brother's passing that she's going to have this growth, but we'll have to see. For me, I'm not truly sold even on that version of Shuri could get there.
Absolutely, Ashley. And I think, even with the leak that we saw about the plot, God forbid that we can't 100% depend on it. So God forbid that's not the plot. But I completely agree. First of all, rooting for everybody Black, rooting for everybody, in comics in general. So we'll definitely go out and support. But do I think it'll have? Sadly, I don't think it'll have the impact or the sales, in my opinion, as the first one. And I think that's going to hurt us in the long run. I think that's going to hurt. If that movie underperforms, like a few that movie underperforms, it's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt our plight in the long run.
Yeah, and you think that it was universally loved, like even you had in China, we know it even did well in China. You have to think that this film was a film that everyone embraced because they also, were really into the story of T'Challa and the multiple viewings and how it kind of like, it was such a global phenomenon, like everybody wanted to see this movie. And now it's just like, everyone seems like, we'll see is what I'm hearing. They're a little concerned.
We're all concerned. Listen, I think there was a few KKK members who secretly went to go see that movie and look. That's how impactful it was, where it was hard to not see it as a racist. And I think everybody's kind of on edge. And again, we love Ryan Coogler. We love this cast, and we are rooting for them. But I think, again, we all agree. Chadwick's family agrees. His wife agrees. It was a mistake not recasting this character. And I just hope that doesn't affect us in the long run. You're absolutely right, Ashley.
Well, you're a DC guy. You said when you grow up, you could. Yeah, sorry, Ashley. When you grow up,
no, it's fine. You can ask him what some of his favorite DC characters are.
But what's up with DC? I'm listening.
Did you like the Snyder cut?
Oh, see, I wasn't going to ask. Listen, no. I don't censor though. I don't censor. So say what I know. There's a lot. If you have issues with things going on right now, this is a free speech.
Yeah, definitely.
Free speech platform.
So huge fan of Man of Steel. Huge fan of Man of Steel. I think Snyder should have stopped at Batman v Superman. And I'll even go up and say, because I love.
No, I'm just kidding. I dropped out because I was. All right.
Steel. I think I could even say he should have stopped there. The problem was that we allowed DC and Snyder to initiate this universe. Right, and that undertone that Zack Snyder presents, and his casting choices were horrendous, and we're seeing that as of late, right? Amber Heard and Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher. Don't get me started on Ray Fisher.
Oh, wait! I have my issues with Ray Fisher, but come on, Cyborg. I loved him playing Cyborg, though.
Yeah, listen, he was a great character. He did a great Cyborg.
Woo!
I just think the actor and by all means, I agree.
Do tell. What about
What
Ray
about
Fisher?
accountability and over entertainment?
Geez, when I speak out about this,
I'm poking the bear now, ain't I, guys?
I think he was. I think all his allegations are true.
Okay.
But I think that's why we haven't seen him in anything since, right? Except for small shows, and I think that character was so important, and it was important that the actor called out these things. But I think it was a lot of overkill on that part.
That's what I feel too.
I think it was a lot of overkill. I even say to myself, that tweet that I sent Eric, I was so passionate about it that I shouldn't have tweeted that. Going back, I wouldn't have tweeted that. I wouldn't have called him. I wouldn't have called it comic books, or I wouldn't have used that word. I'm not a fan of that word unless it really, really. And albeit he does deserve it, but I wouldn't even have tweeted that. And I think that was overkill on my part. And I think Ray Fisher really overkilled that victim role, and that it cost us Cyborg. It cost us Cyborg. So
I agree.
Going back and forth, that's my point. In many different aspects, I think Zack Snyder's casting was just completely off, and we shouldn't have allowed him to bring all those characters without vetting, without a 10-year plan. So that's what I think about. DC is CW is horrible. The CW needs to be canceled. Everything. I'm a DC guy, and I know how to fix DC. DC should just everything should be just. The Flash thing should go straight to DVD. DC has to stop everything. And what we're seeing, they're continuing to develop, right? They need to take that loss, right? Somebody needs to buy them out. They need to start selling. Warner Bros. Needs to sell this property, and they can get billions of dollars from it. All DC titles, I think, as of 2 years ago, should have stopped production. All of them.
Did you like Peacemaker? How did you feel? Did you watch Peacemaker?
Peacemaker, I love Peacemaker.
I had to ask about the Peacemaker.
After Peacemaker, okay?
I do have to defend Zach a little bit. I don't think he could have controlled these. You can't really foresee the future with these actors. And I think I even dug Ezra's Flash. But, oh, my God, don't even get me started on Ezra. But I've gotten to a point where even though I really respect Ray Fisher's acting ability in Cyborg, I totally agree with you. And he had the right to speak out, and more people need to speak out of what's going wrong. It did get to a point where he didn't accept the results of the investigation, and ultimately, maybe even his ego or the ego, protecting Zach's feelings, because let's be real, they were compromised with emotion based on what happened to Zach and his daughter. So there's that added, and we really, even though we could judge, we can't really understand unless we go through it ourselves. But it went to a point where it hurt, just like Chadwick. I've gotten to a point, if Ray Fisher is able to continue Cyborg, but I'm open to recast because that character is important. And I love Cyborg. That movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League, made me love Cyborg. I always liked Cyborg, the character. Now I love it because of that performance.
Oh yeah, it made me cry, and I was always like, I don't know how I feel about this universe, but when he said I'm not broken, like I was like, I get why he's the heart of this movie. Like it was such a great performance. I really enjoyed the stuff that he did with it. And I've seen him in, the women's movement and things like that, and he will be in Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. So I wonder how big of a role he's going to have there. So he is, steadily like getting work, but now with the new controversy, I don't know. We're not going to get into that.
There's another opportunity that was lost with Ray Fisher that I would love to get both your opinion on. Because I think even beyond, if you're a fan of DC or Snyder movies, the hashtag, just like the Me Too or other movements, accountability over entertainment would have been an amazing hashtag to get behind, especially in all this mess in the industry and in fandom of putting accountability over entertainment and not let people skate by with bad behavior. That would have been something amazing. Do you think that got lost? And what could that have been? That could have been a moment if it was handled properly. And I ultimately, even though I still like Ray, I still want Ray to have a future. I don't want Ray canceled or anything. And if Ray comes back as Cyborg and there's an announcement at Comic-Con and Ray's back, I'll still support that. But what could that have meant to so many people about accountability over entertainment, because that also sounds great, and that should be the way it is, you know.
I completely agree. We did about before we signed on with our producers for the show. Now, my DMs and emails were flooded from producers. I'm talking about big name producers from HBO Max to Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, and these guys had worked on huge projects. I spent about 6 months of vetting. When we made our decision, I was looking for a team who understood what you just said. Accountability over entertainment. We were always at a space where I told all of these producers, I said, listen, we are fine with this not happening. We rather make comics for the rest of our lives. I'm okay with not having this a TV show. I would rather it be a comic book for the rest of my life. If we don't do it right with the right people and in the right context. And that's a huge part, a huge thing that's missing in the entertainment industry today. And I'm just learning. I've been in this thing for a year now. I'm just learning this entertainment and the political aspects of it. And I made it clear before signing anything, before our deal, before everything, that they knew I'm okay with walking away. And I'm not impressed with I'm not impressed with your names or your work or your money. Those things don't impress me. I'm a comic book nerd, guys. I will go into a comic book shop and stay for hours. I don't care about money or any of that stuff. So I think that was the right way to go. And I think you're absolutely right. The accountability part. And I think he stood up for he was standing up for, as Ashley said, he was standing up for victims, and the Me Too movement was going on then. And he was really this voice for people who had been taken advantage of and people who had been stepped on and abused. And we're all for that. And I think his message just got lost when the ego did start, the solution, the ego came, it came more about ego than solution. And I think that's where Ray misstepped. And to your point, I think it was an emotional thing. But yeah, that's what I think.
I believe that a lot of these things, my thing with it was, I felt that it was the timing of it all. You capitalized here with the film. So it's hard for me not to now, with the reporting, for me not to believe that you two were in cahoots, here. And I do believe that he experienced, racial insensitive moments and things like that. But I think that they use that to fuel things and to take people down that possibly other people had issues with. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, Ashley, you're so right. I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, it could have been one of those things, and I 100% believe he was abused, but it could have been one of those things where Walter Hamada came up to him and said, "Hey, we got some cornbread tonight at the thing," and then he's like, "Well, hey, that's racist. You can't say that to me." You know what I mean? And I think with what we're seeing with the whole Zach article, and Zach's literally saying, "I'm going to destroy them on social media." Well, that's what Ray did. That's what Ray did. That was his mission. That was his job. And there's no doubt in my mind that what turned into an authentic plight for right and for accountability was marooned into he and this Zach revenge story. So I just think, again, I think he lost. There's a quote in the Antagonist issue 3 where the dad says to the mom, somewhere along the line, we lost our cause. And I think that's kind of what happened when you're starting off with these good intentions. But somewhere, we're humans, guys. We make mistakes. We're corruptible. And I think Zach, I think Ray was corrupted in a sense, and it just turned into that.
I think that both of them were kind of going through this rough time, and I don't want to get into it too much because we've had a lot of crazy debates over it the last few days, and I don't want it to become that. But I think that you had two people who were kind of, one going through the loss, with his family, and then losing his film, and then how a company treated him, and then one feeling, that he was slighted, and then that he lost his voice once the director left. So I think that it kind of, became something for them two to kind of feel like they were empowered in this moment, and that's what happened. But we do have a few things that I've starred and Max has from people. Anthony.
I do also have an article about upcoming superhero characters that we're getting soon. How did you feel? Just like real quick.
Okay,
we have others. Love and Thunder, Valkyrie. What do you think about Black Adam coming up? Are you hyped for that? All these projects coming up. I'm hyped for Black Adam. I don't know. You are?
I'm super hyped for Black Adam.
What if Cavill comes back? That's the rumor.
Yeah, you know what? And you know what? What's crazy about the Black Adam situation is that they announced Black Adam years ago, and I think the Rock has just dived into that role. I think he's been preparing for that role for years. I remember the picture that him and Cavill posted at lunch that time, and I would love to know what that lunch was about. So yeah, excited for that.
Well, what about Black? Oh, go ahead, Black Manta. No. How do you think Aquaman I'm hoping that character gets even. I was happy with Black Manta. What's your thoughts, Ashley?
Yeah, I love Yaya's portrayal. I love his portrayal of Black Manta. I can't. He's the main villain in number 2. So I can't wait to see him. I love Black Manta as a character.
I'm excited to see the new suit because I know that the upgrade looks a little bit better here this time around. But also, to me, a little bit, he was like cheesing it up too much. I like the camp, but I hope I'm excited. I liked him, but it was very campy, almost too much at times for me. But I am excited to see him come back. So Anthony wants to know, did you get a chance to see Miss Marvel? And if you did you enjoy Miss Marvel?
Loved Miss Marvel. And I'll tell you this, guys, Anthony. Sometimes we have to accept as comic book fans that sometimes these things are not for us. I think Miss Marvel, and I'm coming from a place, guys, of education in high school, and you ask yourself, we all want people to feel about comics the way we feel about them, right? And that's our job as comic book lovers, is to spread this love. And so you have to ask yourself, I always ask myself, how can I get this one? And I'm talking about down to specifics. I was like, how can I get Deshaun into comic books, right? His reading level is atrocious. How can I get him into comic books? I said, you know what? Deshaun would love Miles Morales. But I knew that Fatima would love America Chavez, right? And so you've got we have to accept the fact that everything won't be for all of us. And I think Miss Marvel I'm all for family dynamics. I think Miss Marvel did an amazing job with family dynamics. The power thing is a lot to get a hold of. I think they need to explain that a little bit more. I did not like the power set aspect of it, but as far as the show, and it seemed like that was the heart of the MCU so far. That was amazing. They did it good.
I agree. I went into Ms. Marvel thinking this is going to be the one. It's not for me. It's skewing younger. And I remember watching that first episode and I was like, wow, this is really good. I did have a few issues with 4 and 5, but overall I thought it was just the family dynamic and the interactions with the family and seeing a hero who has both of her parents. She has a brother, she has a sister-in-law, her parents aren't dead. So it's a good thing, when we get that also with, animated Miles Morales also, into the Spider-Verse, but to see it in live action was really great to see that.
Yeah, and it speaks to that black and brown family where your parents are going to be all up in your stuff, right? A lot of us growing up would have not been able to be superheroes, right? Because our parents are just, you got to be here, you got to be there. They're just all up in our stuff. And we see that with Miles Morales a lot. Miles Morales struggled so much keeping that from his family because they're just always there. And I think they did an amazing job at portraying that.
Yeah, I went to college and came home for the summer and it was 11:30, you better be home, girl. So no time for superhero. And Geek Studios, he says, what's Tyler's thoughts on the Batman? What did you think about the Batman?
Okay, so I said early on that DC Comics, I'm a DC Comics guy. Batman is literally my favorite comic book character ever. That is the only character I would come out of Godhood and write for.
Oh, wow. That's an exclusive.
So much so that in the Antagonist series, there's a team called the Americans, and the Eagle is a Batman parody. And for the Eagle like I would write for Batman. I love, out of all the antagonist characters I've created in the series, I love writing for the Eagle the most.
So the Americans is going to be its own thing too.
Yeah, we've just launched our Americans. We just announced our American spinoff series, so that's pretty exciting.
Is the page up to pre-order or Indiegogo?
Oh no, it's just been announced. We're in pre-production.
Okay, but you'll have announcements on that. Do you have any time frame you're thinking?
Yes, it'll be next year. It'll be next year. It's going to come out with Fight Island. It'll come out with Fight Island.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
man, we're excited.
Did you get I'm sorry, continue.
Oh no, you go ahead, Ashley.
I was just going to say, because we were talking about Batman being your favorite character. Did you get a chance to see the film with Robert Pattinson, and which is your favorite Batman on screen?
So my favorite Batman iteration. I'm a bias. I'm completely biased, right? I grew up in the '90s, so I grew up on Batman the animated series and Kevin Conroy. So that is my Batman, right? Mm-hmm. Kevin Conroy, DC, Batman animated series, Justice League, Justice Unlimited Batman. That holy grail Batman, who is the all-powerful Batman, right? That's who I judge Batman off of. I saw the Batman. My favorite Batman, along with the accidental killings, is Ben Affleck. That's my favorite Batman. But I saw the Batman, and I was astounded. I absolutely loved it. This is a new Batman, and I think Robinson's portrayal as that amateur Bruce Wayne, I think by number 2 and number 3, we'll start by the end of this trilogy, or about how long they keep him, we'll see that seasoned Batman that we've all come to love. So I love the Batman.
Anthony's coming with all the film questions for you, and this is another one. Let's see how it goes. It says, what is Tyler's favorite Spider-Man? Like, so we'll do like, do you prefer Peter or do you prefer Miles in the comics? That would be the first.
Oh, Peter Parker. Of
course. And when it comes to live action, is it Toby? Is it Andrew? Or is it Tommy?
So because I love Peter Parker Spider-Man in the comics, which I think Tom Holland was ripped from the comic books.
Damn!
Yeah.
Did you all hear me? Did you all hear that?
Love Tom Holland. Now hold on. That's not.
But he's right about the interpretation of the character.
Yeah. Toby did an amazing job. Andrew did an amazing job. But I think they're all different Peter Parkers across his time frame, right? So when we start seeing Peter Parker grow up and he's married and he's a part of the Avengers and they have a kid on the way, we see that Tobey Maguire Peter Parker. When Parker goes to college and he's dealing with Osborn and the Hobgoblin and I think that was an amazing Andrew. But I think as far as introducing the world to Peter Parker as this nerdy high school kid who just doesn't know what he is or where he is, it was absolutely Tom Holland. My favorite live action Spider-Man.
I say it all the time, guys, and so many of them give me a hard time. I'm like, I've read this character. When I see him, even though you might have some issues with the Iron Man connection with him, just physically, the interpretation of Peter Parker and who Spider-Man is, he nails it out of the park for me. And I know Anthony agrees with me as well in the chat. So that's a great
origin story in Spider-Man freshman year, right? Which is Tom Holland reprising the role. So I'm interested in seeing that take. But yeah, hands down, in my opinion, yours, Ashley.
Yes, and we'll get some info. We'll get an announcement for that really, really soon. This weekend at Comic-Con.
I have a question. You're part of a movement with a lot of these indie comics. You made this list, by the way. I was researching lists because you support the community too. Is there any recommendations you could do, like to share some shine? You're getting some recognition for your hard work. You might get a TV series, or you're working on a TV series. Is there any other recommendations? Here's a list of some other independent graphic novels that are also getting live action adaptations. Do you know of any of these?
Yeah, so super close with everyone on this list.
Okay, cool. That's what I want. Yeah.
So this was we love this, and this was not even, I didn't know about this until it dropped. And Karama at the Blurred Girl is an amazing. She does her research. She knows her stuff. But this was not planned, and the fact that we all made this and we've all known each other in the community, but this article and our adaptations kind of brought us together. So I recommend all of these things.
Okay, cool. So this is in the description. This art right here really is intriguing right here. This one.
Yeah, Urias and Jason Wise. he doesn't even have. Let me tell you about Jason Urias. He doesn't even have a comic book, right? This was conceptualized, and he did all, and he put images together and really worked hard because he couldn't do a comic book right off the bat, and so that got picked up, and we just fell in love with this kind of immortal character. So yeah, pretty excited about that. But if you scroll down, you'll see one of the others, which is, I recommend, guys, you guys got to get this book, Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer, Bitterroot, David Walker. That's obviously amazing. That's one of the biggest ones there.
The Banks.
The Banks.
So Black is amazing. One of my favorites.
Okay. I'm scrolling through it fast, everyone. But if you're interested, that's great to hear that you approve of this list.
Oh yeah, man, this is good stuff.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. Oh man, there
it is.
Listen, guys, I non-biased. This is written by David Krause, and he's a good friend of mine, and he just they are further than us in their show with Prentice Penny from Insecure, and this was one of the best books I've read of 2022.
Okay, so there's a lot out there. I don't want to bring it back to someone's getting a lot of attention, whatever. There's a lot of substance and stuff out there. This isn't new. This is people been working hard on the content, and there's a lot. You're saying there's a lot out there to find.
Man, tons. And it's up to you, just like you guys did with your research when you first heard about me. You just got to go find these things. And that's another thing that I didn't agree with Eric's message, is that he's acting as if this stuff isn't going on, and if it isn't good, right? You got stuff that's out here, and it's super amazing.
That's not this. What? That's another that question just popped in my head. What's the issue where other creators are not getting the attention? Like I'll be real. He ended up on Fox News organically, like all on his own. I'm sorry. I know he has connections with Blaze TV and a certain political person.
I mean, he's employed by Blaze TV.
Right. So I don't
make sure that we let everybody know that.
Right. But what's the issue where, or even like, I don't want to get into politics, but the left side of politics, not that that's represented in your comic, but why isn't it getting the promotion that the other side is, where, oh, it's not this, so it gets super promoted? What are we missing? What are we missing here?
I say this all the time, and I think it's the authenticity. I think one thing about this community, his community, is they're extremely supportive of each other. My grandpa told me a long time ago, and I'm not saying this is the case. I clarify, I'm not saying this is the case. My grandfather told me a long time ago, hate brings people together. Right.
Yeah.
And so hate brings people together more than love does. Unfortunately, we've seen that over the course of human history. And so that network is highly, and I said earlier, they are highly, highly supportive of one another. It's less about the product. These people, he's raised them $3 million, and he doesn't have a product. The book, he says the book is done, but there's no way to know if this is good or not.
Well, he did. Yeah, we don't know if it's good or not, but he did release a video today showing his warehouse of all the products. So he does have stuff in, but people aren't actually purchasing based on the quality yet.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't know yet. They don't know.
I think it's just community, and I think it's just community, and I think and I wouldn't even consider myself. I am nowhere near the left side. I speak about balance.
Okay.
I think what they have that the left doesn't, and other communities don't. It's just that overall unconditional support.
Okay.
That the left just doesn't have that. And what you see with the left a lot is there's no line in the sand, right? It's just it's just all this. And so, a new name, things just come around and they blend, and you just don't know where to start and where to support. And I think the right has done an amazing job across all industries of really kind of honing in on specific things and ideals that gets them that type of support.
Yeah, they're very organized, and they're able to come together. Like when you think of just like the left, that's why even though I lean more that way, I don't like to take on that title myself, because at times specific things it's hard to gauge where we're at, because things can get too bogged down. And like you say this, well, then this person's canceled. And it's just a lot of it for me at times. It's like when we think about like artists and art, I think that there should be a space reserved for them where we're not canceling people based on art and things like that. Whether that be performance art or visual art, that art speaks for itself and it needs to be respected in that specific space that it exists. So I agree with that, a lot of it. For me, and we do have a few more I've highlighted. Caden says, I know Nolan Branham. Oh, snap. So, because he has a few ties and he knows who he is.
Yeah, that's my brother, man. That's one of our executive producers on the Antagonist. That's my brother, man. That's why we went with Branham Entertainment. Just super authentic, super down to earth, and knows his stuff. Can get things done. I mean, we went to a writers retreat in Tulum, Mexico, and just seeing this guy work and getting things done that I wouldn't think that I could do just in that country. And it was amazing. So he's amazing.
And Daryl says, did you watch Young Justice? And if you have you seen season 4?
Yes, love Young Justice. I think season 4 was really good, but I also think it's suffering it's suffering from them from the lack of authenticity. I think they have to go back to the drawing board. They're doing a lot of things that seem like they're checking stuff off. But yes, I love Injustice. It's an amazing show. And to your point, actually, I even agree with Eric about things not being non-political. Now, I wish he said that. I wish it was true on his behalf. It's not. But I just like to make comics, and I'm for what's right, and for freedom and people. I'm extremely patriotic. That's why I created the Americans. But I don't think there has to be a middle ground. There has to be understanding, right? Even with when you're dealing with Roe versus Wade, I don't think. First of all, it's creepy and it's weird for men to just be able to sit here and think about what a woman should decide with their bodies. But on the other end, my personal opinion is, other than incest and rape, we need to practice. Sexual responsibility, right? So there's things, there are grounds and things that need to be checked off. And like I said, one way to the right and one way too far to the right, too far to the left, and things get diluted. But yeah, he's right. And so when you're reading The Antagonist, it's going to feel like an experience. You're either going to agree with that experience or you're not. It's not. There's no left. There's no right. It's just the experience of this Black couple and their family, and how the actual experience of living, being Black and living in America. But they're also, I wanted to make sure that we portrayed a prominent Black family. They have a lot of money. They're wealthy. Mom is a real estate agent. Dad is a respected principal. So these guys, they're not poor. So they have some privileges as being a wealthy Black family that I don't have, right? And so it's just an experience of book.
Yes. Let's pull it up again. Do you have any more questions here, Max, that you want to go over?
I think we'll be wrapping it up soon, and we can give our final thoughts. And if anyone has a question, you have to get it in quick. But what you're accomplishing things, Tyler, and I'm really looking for. I'm Max Movies, so if this TV adaptation, that really gets me excited. What's your wildest dreams in the future when you look back on your life? Of what are you accomplishing it now? Or where would you want to see this go in the future? Or when you look back at your legacy later on down in life, what is your goal? What's your wildest dreams for all this to happen? Because you were a school teacher, then you started doing comics. Are you in it now, or where would you really like to reflect on this? Where would you want to see this go?
I'll say I'm scratching. I am scratching the surface of my dreams.
Okay.
I haven't worked in 4 years. I retired 4 years ago, pulled out my 401k.
Wow, that was another question I was going to ask. So you're full time in this?
Yes, full time in this.
Hell yeah.
So I have
great.
I've been good in Atlanta and the city, and my legacy will be for people to break away from the formulaics and the conveyor belt of our society and do what makes them happy. What we're seeing now, one of my mentors always talks about passion, purpose, and profit, right? So once you discover your passion and what makes you happy, then that'll take you to your purpose, right? Because when you like something so much, you'll do it for free, and that's a passion, and that means it's for you. And then once you figure out that purpose, you learn how to build a business around it and learn how to make profit out of it. And so my legacy would be just to have people try their best and go after to do the things they love, because it's possible. And there's a lot of people we're in the modern age where people are making money going on, doing what they love and talking about it, right? And so that's what I'm doing, man. And that would be my legacy. But yeah, movies, series, animations, video games.
Yeah, I thought you were living the dream right now, but you're like, I'm scratching the surface. That shows your passion, like and that you want people to go do things on their own. You don't need the system necessarily. Not to bash the system, which you can't do. There are issues, but you don't actually need it. Your proof is in the pudding. Look at that list of all those creators. Things are happening. Yeah.
You're doing things and make sure you're doing it from the right reasons. You're doing it for the right reasons. It's extremely important, and that's what's going to stand the test of time.
We kind of did go over this, Daniel, but we didn't specifically ask him about Superman. But Daniel's question was, Tyler, you probably asked this, but how does he feel about WB proposing a race-swapped Clark Kent Superman? Specifically about Superman. How does that make you feel?
And specifically Clark Kent. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I've heard that a lot.
And that's the problem with, and that is, and a huge Star Wars fan, and so a lot of my vocabulary is light side and dark side, right? And too much of one thing. You got to be careful because that's a path to the dark side. And I think when you start talking about making Clark Kent black, that's a path to the dark side, right? We have Val Zod. If you want to do that, fine. That's amazing. You have characters like you have Val Zod, you have Calvin Ellis, who was the president of Superman in I think Earth 2 or something. But why are you want to making Clark Kent black? And that, for me, that's what I talk about, doing it for the right reasons. You're pandering. You're taking the most iconic character in pop culture and you're pandering it, and you want to make money off because people don't know who Val Zod is. Well, teach them who Val Zod is. So horrible.
Yes.
Horrible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people didn't know who T'Challa was. I think that compared to Val Zod, I think, T'Challa is a little bit more well known. But if you bring these characters to film, that's how they're discovered, right? Yeah. That's how people learn about them, and they engage, and then they engage in the source material, and they learn about who these characters are. So that's very important. And okay, go ahead, please.
And I think that project was. I think we jumped the gun on that. And I hope that they weren't talking about Clark Kent. I know there was rumors in the articles and sites, but I hope it's a Val Zod or Calvin Ellis.
Apparently, I think it's now been scrapped from what I hear, but it was set during the civil rights movement. And it was that type of story. And it was a Clark Kent story. Daryl says, who are the superheroes the antagonists are up against? Can you kind of go over that again for the chat if they're just coming in?
Absolutely. And can you pull that picture up of the Americans on our Instagram? Because I love this question. This is my favorite.
Sure, let me find that one.
But this is the beautiful thing about the antagonists. The Americans are a team of superheroes in the antagonist universe that represent they're the greatest superheroes in the country and the planet. But what we find with the Americans is they are this kind of Trump-era propagandist type of superhero team. They're not racist, but their problem is they refuse to see the flaws in American society and America's foundation, and that makes them just as dangerous as intentionally doing things.
And this is the this is the Americans on the cover, the variant cover here on the Antagonist comic book here. So there they are right there. And I said, it's the name, the Americans, is very interesting because they are like this team of heroes. Right. And so I'm really excited to see it because I'm probably going to try to get the digital copy first and then move from there and be able to get those physical copies.
When we get off, I'm going to send you guys issues 1 through 4 issues
Oh,
1 through
wow.
5 will be Antagonists. It'll be in your DM.
Oh wow,
Okay, great.
we will
wow.
review it. We will review it.
Yes, we will discuss it.
I have actually something to propose to you, not to put you on the spot, Tyler, too, but I love the vibe that we get with you and Ashley. And the thing that I was talking about that where the other people were succeeding, not that you are succeeding, but is the community. If you're open in the future, like some of those other people on that list that you said, there's a lot of people you know out there. I would love if you're available, because I know you're also busy, where we could share the shine and like get a contact and have maybe you and Ashley together interview some of these people. And that connectedness is really where it's going to prop people up and build each other up. So if you're open to that, that might be a great type of project with your availability, of course.
Yeah.
work together to share that shine and you know, you, with your connections if you're up for it. That's
Man,
what I was just brainstorming. I was brainstorming.
Yeah, no, I'd be honored, guys, and I tell you, I've done a lot of interviews so far, and this is just feels like home. So yeah, I would be honored. Anytime you guys need me, I'm here. If we can work it out, I'm here.
Awesome,
sure, great.
awesome.
We would
Love
love to
it.
do that. You know, Max and I, putting out this fun content, and it's always a good time over here on Movie Madness Entertainment. I would always like to say.
I know you're busy too. We've almost gone 2 hours. Do we want to wrap it up? Any final thoughts that you'd love to tell the audience? People, this is a lot of introduction. Thank you for opening yourself up to a lot of people. A lot of our viewers may not know you. So anything you want to final thoughts, Ashley, Tyler?
I would like to, extend the floor to him. Anything that you kind of want to, again, kind of tell us about the stories and the characters that you're creating and your vision for the future that maybe for people, again, who maybe came into the chat late, that you want to kind of let them know kind of about what you do and anything else that maybe we didn't go over.
Absolutely, guys. So my name is Tyler Forrest Martin, Tyler F. Martin. I am the writer and creator of The Antagonist and also the founder and publisher at Godhood Comics. And Godhood Comics, our motto is original, new, and necessary. And by necessary, we just mean that Black and brown people can be main characters and leads in their own rights without quota-driven or pandered adaptions. And so it's just a safe space to uplift Black and brown voices. And more importantly, their experiences. But yeah, you guys can check us out at godhoodcomics.com. Please follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We just launched our Patreon, so we're pretty excited about that. We pinned a post to all of our supporters, thanking them just for whether it's liking, comment, or sharing or purchasing the product. We appreciate it all, and we just want to get people, more and more people, everybody into comic books. Godhood Comics are stories by us, about us, for all. So we are super excited about the future, the TV show adaptations. We got a few things, other things that have been optioned that they want to make movies out of and things of that nature. You're going to see a lot of us. We just partnered with a huge celebrity. That article will be releasing on August 1st. And so,
okay. We're gonna be ready.
You'll see a lot of things from us. And
you're gonna get constant coverage on this channel. I'm telling you. So
listen. And anytime I'm here, anytime you need me, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I appreciate you. I'm trying to get a few of these links in the chat.
Thank you, Tyler. I'm so hype about finding. It was honestly.
And I woke up that morning and I was like, "Who's this? What's this?" And he's like, you were talking about you being a content creator. And he was trying to give you advice, and you were like, "I don't need your advice." And then I went and I looked at what you were doing, and then later on that evening, Max had found out about the same things that you were doing, and in that conversation, and that was the last question that I wanted to ask you. Is a lot of times we hear this criticism as Black and brown people that if we are criticizing people in our own space, in our own community, then we're just looking down on them. And I think that it's important to call out everyone. And how did you feel about that attack where people were kind of like coming at you saying, "Oh, you're just a Black man that's, putting another black man down for his success"? What would you say to that?
One of the things we do every month, once a month, I send in our mailing list we send a survey about what can we do better, what are we doing wrong, and kind of getting that feedback, welcoming it and wanting it. I think you got to be careful with the crabs in the barrel statement that goes around, because we not only should we welcome criticism, but just because and a lot of the message I was getting was they were calling me a hater and this and that, and I'm like, no, I just think if he's doing it, he needs to be doing it authentically the right way. You have to be open of criticism. And what we saw, because he wields a lot of power, and it's a dangerous power. It's a very dangerous power that he wields. And everyone who we see that criticized him was retweeted, reposted, put down, and his army came after them in droves. I had never blocked so many people from both my from both my page and Godhood's page, right? And so with great power comes great responsibility, and he wielded that power immaturely and inaccurately.
You're saying he might be betraying this great Stan Lee. He's not wielding his power responsibly. Woo! Right? He does have great power. I'll admit that. I'm not diminishing his power, but he's manipulating and using it for potential nefarious. He's misusing that power. Wow.
And again, uplifting positive voices is important. Again, we know what his stories are about. Tyler's here, and again, I appreciate you coming here and this wonderful art and these wonderful characters that you've created in the story, and that it gives you that very real, raw, gritty, gory vibe. You're gonna get that type of stuff also in these stories. If you especially take a look at it, if on the website, check out the Instagram, check out all of that, and you'll get to see what he is creating in this world. And of course, you're going to get a live adaptation of these characters.
I
right?
can't wait. I can't wait.
You got to read it so you know what you're getting into, and in this organic universe that he's building. And again, Tyler, we appreciate you coming to talk to us. We will
review your comic.
We will review it.
Yeah.
We will review it.
Yeah, I'm gonna DM me both of your emails as soon as we get
sure.
I'll send those to you immediately, please. I would love to know what you guys think about the books.
Yes,
Awesome.
And you know what? I'm your girl Ashley, aka the Widow, and Tyler. Again, thank you for being with us. And of course, it's Mad Max is here, right?
Yes, sir.
And again, thank you guys so much. So Max, whenever you're ready to press that little button, we'll be out of here.
All right, bye everyone.
Thanks, guys.